Do you need to recap, Tim?
We accepted the minutes unanimously. Oh, no, there was an abstention. And then we approved the plan for submitting a
Flyer.
sheet to the annual town meeting, an information sheet. That was unanimous. And that's all we've done so far. Now we're gonna look at the issue of signs for projects underway and completed. And Wayne is gonna lead this exciting discussion.
All right, hold on, let me find out. Oh, there it is. Okay,
So I just tried to look at, based on what was on the back of the flyer, the projects that make sense to have a sign put on them. So which ones would be temporary, which ones would be a permanent sign. I tried to figure out, I figured the temporary sign would probably be a large sign. So, and we can get the input from the organizations to, like for the Historical Society. I don't know if they want that large of a sign. I mean, it's not that big. I mean, they can be 10 square feet is what our connections to the planning board told us. And so that is just under 10 square feet, 3.5 by 2 3/4 high. So I figured that would be the same sign regardless of where it's posted, and that would be the one that's below. I had to resize it a little from what I had originally done. Again, it's still a little bit rough. Probably would space it a little bit better, but so the idea with the temporary signs is to have it be CPA funds at work. And you can hopefully read, I don't know if you can zoom in anymore, but it basically says, I can barely read. The project is funded by the citizens of Berlin in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts through the Community Preservation Act. And then the preserving and protecting the quality of life for our community. And then our URL. So I think the idea would, I think we discussed last week briefly to say, to put one at where the pavilion would be, at where the irrigation area would be. The thing is that those signs don't identify what the project is. So if they're both on the South Common, but I think people would be able to tell what they are. So were you going to say something, MJ?
No.
Okay. So those I thought would be that size, and then the permanent signs, one for Horseshoe Pond, one for the conservation land on Carter Street, one for the pickleball tennis courts, one for the community garden fence, and one for I didn't know if it was possible to do one for the scoreboard. Didn't quite make sense to me. That's why I have question marks if we would want one there. But so the two examples there, one would be if we want to identify, the conservation type areas where, what the name of it is. And then I didn't know if on the more general sign, well, I mean, you could put tennis court. I mean, you could use the other one and say, community garden, whatever, or you could just put a more generic sign and it just says this project is funded. But I don't know if people understand that it's the fence, not the whole garden, and if we need to be that specific or. So that was sort of where I was sort of at as I was pulling this all together, that, we could use I mean, I like the general sign, and we could just put it like in the wording, but we could also put like tennis court rehab or whatever. I don't know what people think. So that's kind of why I just drew it out that way. And I don't know if and so I made the other one slightly smaller. But they're still big, and I don't know if we really want a sign that. I mean, 3 is good sized, but I mean, I don't know if we think that's too big to affix to the tennis court fence, or maybe it makes sense at Horseshoe Pond. So I guess I would leave it up to some feedback on that.
Right. I think it depends on.
Go ahead. And if you just want to click on the other one, you could show the colors. I mean, the colors are later, but we had talked about one in green, so I just put two different kinds of green, just so you can see how it looks, so we can decide on what kind of color we want. So, sorry, go ahead, Carolyn.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think the size is probably gonna be dependent on where it's put. You know, the permanent sign.
Yep.
Not that that's exactly genius or anything, but
No, but if we're gonna, but if I'm gonna move forward and talk to Assabet, then we need to decide what seems appropriate. And I mean, and again, like I'm assuming the big temporary signs have to be put in some kind of posts or something in the ground, some kind of a stakes or something like that. The, you know, the fence, I'm assuming Julie would probably know best if we could affix like a sign to the fencing at the, I'm assuming we could do it at the fencing at the tennis courts and at the community garden, but again, I think it's gonna depend on the project. So I guess if I can get specific feedback on what we think, or we can decide that, then it'll help me get the right quoting.
So the more permanent sign is slightly bigger than a 42-inch diagonal television.
I mean, it can be smaller. I mean, it doesn't have to be that big. It can just be 3x2. I mean, I've just got a piece of paper.
3x2. I mean, there's a lot of information.
Could I say something?
Please.
I thought the temporary signs were gonna be more like 8.5 by 11. I don't wanna clutter up the town. After a while, they'll stand out. You'll just see them. And can you put that quality control doohickey so people can scan it and if they need more information?
Yeah, we could put a QR code on it too, sure.
Well, see, I don't have a smartphone and I don't have a TV, so.
Oh, but it's
So-
good. It's a really good suggestion. There's no reason we can't design that and put it on there as part of it too, in the corner of the sign, sure.
But Eloise, when you say 8.5 by 11, you're talking about 8.5 inches by 11 inches.
Yeah, a piece of
Like-
paper.
Like, yeah,
So-
like, I mean, I don't
And
think.
that's just the temporary signs. The other signs are fine.
So you see the permanent sign is larger than the temporary.
And
Yeah.
I see
Yeah,
it.
well,
I've thought of the temporary as larger than the permanent, with the notion that we're trying to draw attention with the temporary to the fact that the CPA funds are at work. And then the smaller sign gets used permanently when it's there close to an entrance or whatever, so people.
yep, that's fine too.
Yeah, I was thinking that the Bullard House, wouldn't you want to be able to see it kind of from the road? It would need to be bigger then.
Yeah, well, after a while, people will just see, you'll just recognize it. Each wording will be different, but
yeah, and I guess I pictured like political yard sign size.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. The temporary ones would be, that was kind of the image in my head as well.
And those end up being how big?
24 by 18 maybe inches.
I mean, there's a lot more on these signs than,
Right.
vote somebody's name to vote for. So
Right.
I mean, I just thought the bigger sign because ideally they aren't going to be up. I mean, maybe 12 months, if it was even that long. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I know that the South Common construction the irrigation and all that would probably be, two phased. I mean, I don't know how long, the projection is to build the pavilion, but that would just be a temporary thing. So I think, it gets people's eyeballs on it while they're driving by And then, you know, I think I guess I thought the same thing as I was designing it, based on also what I had seen in some of the other communities, that it looked like, you know, when something's under construction, it's got the big sign to draw attention, like that's what's going on. And then a smaller sign sort of memorializes it. I actually think a 3x2, I mean, 3x2 is still really big. I mean, I could even see a smaller, you know, 2.5 by, you know, I don't even know how big it needs to be. I mean, you could have something as big as, you know, that. I mean, if it's just going to be a fix where people are going to see it, but it depends on how much attention we want to keep calling to it. On the conservation land things, they were pretty big, a lot of the ones that I saw. So.
Carolyn, did you envision, is there something that says CPA on the sign that's there for Horseshoe Pond already?
There is, it's not very big.
Well, if you give me
But-
guidance and that's what we want to put it in, then we could just make it fit to replace whatever's on
Right,
it.
so I guess I envision for Horseshoe Pond, that we would put something in the kiosk.
So
And
how much space would we have? Bigger than a piece of paper, like a 8.5 by 11 or less, or?
certainly not less. I would have to go up, well, we can look on the cover of last year's town report. Cause
I mean,
that's where the
it's
kiosk
not-
is.
it doesn't have to have, I mean, I don't need the information today. I think we just need to get a checklist of like, what sizing stuff do we have to decide? So you can go measure it and then we can come
Right.
back and talk about it. But
Yep.
I guess we just want to get the specifics, and is the same type of sign going to go up on Carter Street?
Oh, so Carter Street would probably have to go up in the woods. I don't even know that it makes sense at this point to have a sign there, because it's the access to the property
Is a
is
right
an
of way.
easement.
But it wouldn't be a bad thing at the end of that easement as you get into the property to have a sign.
Right, right.
And it doesn't have to be, I mean, it could be, you know, on a post, and I mean, something really big is going to require two posts, but maybe you only want one
Right.
post. And I don't know if it's going to have a map. I mean, you know, that's the thing too, is like if conservation controls, you know, what's that signage looks like, then it's just a matter of work with conservation to say, this is the amount of space we have. But I think it's, you know, then at least we can say, this is what we'd like to put on.
Right. Yep.
So. But I guess I saw the temporary one as being a really large sign. Because I mean, they're not, I mean, I know what Eloise is, you're saying, but I think there won't be might be 2 or 3 around town at the same time. And, you know, for a season, and then that project wraps up, and then, you know, then they sort of disappear as they become smaller, so.
I'm amendable to change.
So let's start by breaking this down into several different decisions. So we have decisions
Why don't we
about
go back to the original?
text, we have decisions about color, and then we have decisions about size. So how comfortable are people with the text for the temporary sign? Are we satisfied with that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice going. Now, let's jump to the more permanent sign. We have 2 choices. Do people have a preference as to which they would rather see?
It doesn't have to be either or. I mean, the thought with this was, if it's going to have a designated name like Horseshoe Pond, because then it serves as sort of a naming. But again, if the sign where it's going to be, if it's going to be incorporated into a sign, you know, then it's redundant. So maybe the other one makes sense. So.
So your point about the fence at the community garden, I mean,
Yep.
if the sign just says CPA funding, then like you say, what do people assume? Particularly if they're new to the area. So
You could modify it to say the fencing, the fencing is provided by.
Yeah, well, I mean, I tend to like being specific about the project that was supported. So, Horseshoe Pond, if you're gonna put a sign up on the soccer fields, I mean, the pavilion's fairly easy, the fence is fairly easy, Bullet House would be easy. These pieces of property. How would you approach the soccer field improvements with the
Mm.
well and the irrigation?
Well, if you have one of those little, what do they call them?
QR code.
A QR code. I mean, that will,
Right,
They-
yes,
I
yeah,
guess.
so like something kind of
on the-
big
Yeah,
up on a temporary, 2x4s or 4x4s or something with a QR code if somebody wants more information.
well,
and it-
I think too, just to say that, Carolyn, that if we had a QR code just to go to our website, if somebody wanted to know, like, well, what did the funds actually do? We're gonna have the details on our website about, what the funding was for, at the field.
Right,
I think the harder part is like, once that comes down, I don't really know how you leave anything up on a field. I think on the pavilion, it could be attached to the post or, I guess that's something we have to sort of, maybe that's something to consider adding into the description, Maureen, down the road, is say like, how would signage be displayed or something like that. So they're thinking about that as part of the project. But, yeah, I don't know. And I mean, I don't know. I mean, we've seen the design for the pavilion. The posts are kind of skinny, so you don't want something that's gonna get torn off. So, I don't know.
well, would the, to water the fields, doesn't that have to be identified somewhere?
Yeah, they're gonna put up shed, right? A pump shed or something.
Are they gonna put up a shed? If they are, then you just attach the sign to the shed.
Point.
right.
If not, you just put it on a 2x4 wherever the controls are for
So,
the irrigation.
so that's a particular issue. Let's go back to the notion of Wayne, you were
court.
talking about there perhaps being two types of permanent signs.
Well, there could be. I mean, these are just options. And like even the Bullard House, for example, that's not one that's fully funded by us. So, the phrasing could be is partially, this project is partially funded or something like that. So I think in my original document that I sent around, what I was finding is that, they are sort of customized in different communities based on what it is. So I think we could say, fully fund, I mean, like the pavilion's fully funded, the Bullard House is partially funded, so I think we can, I mean, I think the biggest thing, in all honesty, with some of this is for me to get quoting on what these things are gonna cost, is just to come up with an agreement on the size, an agreement on the colors, and then I can, for each specific project, we can talk about it, and I don't want to end conversation on it, but we can come up with specific wording and I can like have an example for exactly what it will say for each one. So when Carolyn comes back and says, this is what Horseshoe Pond size needs to be, okay, we can do that. And if Horseshoe Pond already has something that says Horseshoe Pond really large, maybe it doesn't really need to say Horseshoe Pond, but maybe Carter Street's not going to have a big kiosk, so you'd want to use the CPA since it fully funded it to, have that
Right.
have its name on it. So I think we can be flexible and customize it for each one. You just have to know what we want, when we want it, where we want it. And so if you want the tenant, so if on the I mean, we fully funded the tennis one, right?
No,
No, partial. So that could be partially funded, and the fence at the community garden, that was fully funded, right? So we could just say the fencing, provided by,
Right,
Well-
I mean, community garden fencing,
But,
provided.
you know, your statement that says this property receives support
Yeah.
Right,
is, why can't that just be the term?
Well,
'Cause
that's-
that
that's-
indicates both
that, well,
partial
that seems,
or full.
that, yeah, that seems partial, but the other one below seems like fully, almost sounds like fully funded.
Yeah, but I mean, there may be opportunities where we fully fund. The scoreboard was partially funded. The tennis courts were partially funded. The Bullard House is going to be partially funded. The Horseshoe Pond was partially funded. It's, I don't have trouble with the notion that we just say this property receives support, because
Okay.
that indeed is what took place, and
Okay. We could use that language on the one below, if we don't need it to say, identify the name of the project.
right.
And then you don't have to be specific, like you wouldn't have to say the fence.
I do like the being specific about the use, though, the fence, the acquisition horse, but so, okay, we're gonna continue to work on language. We're satisfied with the temporary. We're gonna continue to think about this more permanent sign, and we'll do some soul searching about the possibilities. Carolyn can look at the sign at Horseshoe Pond, and maybe Ellie can go back and ask the Historical Commission how they'd feel about a permanent sign affixed to the Bullard House, and how large or whatever.
Well,
Color,
I think your point is well taken. So for Ellie, if we're gonna put, well, because you're still in doing those projects, I mean, maybe the temporary sign for now, but like try to discuss now, like what would the permanent solution be too, so we kind of know what to plan for.
Yeah.
And Julie, I don't know what do you think for how big for the tennis courts? Do you want to just get back to us on that?
Yeah, for the rec spaces, I personally like bigger, but that's my opinion. I don't think it should
Right,
be
but you
obnoxious.
also have the space.
how
that's
big
what I
is
mean,
bigger,
yeah.
Julie?
Yeah.
I've been to athletic fields and have seen the signs there at those athletic fields, and it says CPA funded. It's very simple. They're very simple signs, but they're a good size. I mean,
Okay.
they're certainly bigger than 8 by 11. They're bigger than the 3.5 by 2.7. They're
Yeah,
big.
They're even bigger than that. So what do
Yeah,
we,
they're nice. They're big signs, because you want that pop, to let people know that it was funded through CPA.
Where could we see one?
Let me find, I've seen 3 now, and I've been to so many athletic fields. That I'll have to go back in my brain, and I'll find that out and then send you guys pictures.
That'd be great.
But yeah, but it's very simple. It doesn't have as much language on there as these do. But Wayne, I like these also.
yeah. I mean,
I
I think
almost think to be completely honest, I think we're overthinking this. I think these are great the way that they are.
Yeah, and I think
Maybe
each
move.
committee, or board should kind of decide within these parameters what the sign says for their project, the sign and the size.
yeah, I
That's
mean,
a
we
good
could
point.
we could give him an option, because like Julie, there may not be something that says, tennis and pickleball courts. So you might want the sign that says tennis and pickleball courts on there. I mean, they're kind of obvious what
Right.
they are, but if you wanted to put
Yeah.
it there, so it's sort of, we can do that. So I think that's a good point. The wording can be finalized, because that's not going to change. The wording won't change the cost of the sign. It's just the size of it will change
Okay.
it. And the imprint, that kind of stuff. So, I mean, I'll get a ballpark for what they'll be.
And it may come to pass that the housing trust finds that the owner of a house that's supported with CPA funds doesn't particularly want the sign affixed to the structure. So we may want to get some input
Right.
from them as well.
So, we could do that in those agreement letters.
Yeah.
That when they're supposed to come back and tell you that they're done, that then they would also give input on the signs. Like,
And
and
I-
add another paragraph to the agreement letters that go out in July.
And I don't think,
Excellent.
yeah, and I don't think that it's gonna necessarily make sense to always have a permanent affixed sign. I mean, like, I don't think it makes sense to
Right.
affix a sign to the scoreboard. I mean, I don't think that makes sense. So, that's why it's good if there's a temporary sign while it's going up and those that are involved can see it, and it is memorialized on our website and the lists and the stuff that we do. But so I think that's why but where it is something that's permanent, visible, and makes sense, sure. But I think there are things where it doesn't make sense.
So color,
Oh, yeah. So there's
Blue.
2 shades of green. I think people didn't, well, I would like us to stick with whatever color we pick, we should stick to. So one's more of a darker green and one's a little more vibrant. I mean, I can keep going, but I don't think we want to go lighter.
so my sense is that people prefer green to blue.
Yes,
I
for
would
me.
I prefer green to blue personally.
I like blue.
Uh-oh. And
I
Wayne
know,
likes
but it's
blue.
fine.
And Wayne likes blue and I like blue.
Oh.
Uh-oh, it's up to
Ellie.
Ellie. Ellie and Eloise.
I actually like the blue, but I
Oh.
can understand when you're putting the sign in the woods, you wouldn't necessarily want blue. I think the green might be more appropriate for some of the
So-
conservation projects.
Yeah, oh, good. Eloise,
I like the blue. I thought it stood out different,
Yeah.
but I can see green for for the preservation, for the
Conservation.
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 Yeah, I mean that's why green appealed to me, is not anything specific to liking the color better, just it seemed more fitting for, conservation type things, but I am not married to that opinion.
All right, good. So
Right,
Wayne's
so
gonna,
Wayne, you're saying it's less expensive if everybody does the same color?
No, I think that I'm just saying from a consistency when people are seeing the signs around.
Yeah,
town,
Whatever
Yeah,
color we
yeah,
choose
yeah.
should be the one for all the signs.
I don't think we should vary. I mean, if we really feel so strongly that, conservation ones should be green, and I mean, it's sort of middling, it's a middling choice. I mean, from a historical standpoint, I mean, the green's probably a little more calmer than the blue, but I think the
Yeah,
blue.
well, if you're trying to get people's attention. the
Yeah, I
blue
think
will
I
do it.
picked the blue originally because I felt it would stand out as you drive by. It's a stronger choice.
Could we do a blue green?
No aquamarine.
and then of the greens, which one are people preferring?
I prefer the darker one.
I have to say I do too.
Yep, me 3.
Yeah,
Yeah.
All right, good, we made a decision on that. at least.
Yay.
Okay, so it's the darker green. So we're not producing these next week, so we've still got an opportunity to do some thinking. You can go back to your committees and have a little more conversation about what it is they might be willing to see placed on their,
I mean, if we want to,
Project.
and if we want to get creative, I mean, we could stick with the green. I don't want to make it like Christmassy. It could put like red, or we could put put a brighter green or something border on the ones that are temp signs, so that when they're temporary they stand
stand
a
out
little bit more, but still keep the rest. So maybe use the bright green, or, I'll have to find out if they're going to charge us more for 2 different colors. So I'll
Sure.
find.
so
Alright.
Wayne, do you have a good idea now of what you're gonna be asking them?
I think so. What I'll probably do is, if we're all cool with the 3.5. I mean, unless somebody's saying they feel we should go to the zoning, the appeals board to get a bigger sign than that.
I don't think that's necessary.
Okay, so what I'll do is I'll try to reach out to Assabet and find it at least for the temporary signs and for the, I mean, Julie was saying for like for the fence for the tennis court, even the 3.5 by 2. I mean, we could make them as big as the other ones if we want. I just was trying to keep the proportions, but you know, I can use the sizing that I put in there just to get some basic pricing to start. And then, you know, if we size it differently, we can do that. So I can move ahead and.
Right, if you get some pricing for the 3.5 by 2 3/4 size, anything else will probably be less expensive, so.
Yeah, and it might not even be that less expensive. I mean, sometimes the size, I mean, the material might not be, it's not that much of a difference. It just might be the labor. So I'll find out if we can be, you know.
Right, so what are you asking them for the materials?
I'm gonna ask their opinion because, you know, stuff that's gonna freestand, that I don't know. I mean, maybe it would just be on plastic and mounted on a sign, or I don't want something that's gonna be bendable, so that's where I was
Right,
gonna.
what about metal?
And metal's gonna rust and stuff like that, I would think. I don't know, that's what I'm gonna ask.
Yeah.
I mean, if, you know, maybe there's a,
Like speed limit sign metal or a stop
Maybe.
sign metal?
maybe I can ask
No,
them.
aluminum would rust.
That's
Aluminum.
true, aluminum would not rust.
Yeah,
Okay,
So-
I'll,
you'll find out. That's great. Anything else we want to charge Wayne with before he?
No, but I want to thank him for the time.
Nice
Yeah, it's
job.
been a big help.
Yes, thank you, Wayne.
All right. Next is our coalition presentation. Stuart has said that he will meet with us on May 21st. We have to decide on a time. I've asked Sandra if we could use the 1870 Town Hall. She said we can. We've booked it for that night unless we agree that that's not where we want to go. And we want to talk about whether we want to entice people in with something to eat. So
Mhm.
what time?
Gonna have food. I think you want it earlier than 7:30. How long does it take?
An hour and 15 minutes for the presentation and then some questions. I would assume that given Stuart's ability to answer questions, you could have half an hour's worth of questions easy. So the whole thing could take an hour and 45 minutes or so.
so 6:30, is that too early?
That's what I was thinking.
That's what I was thinking as well.
Maureen and I were thinking in those terms as well. You know, serve food earlier than that, start the program at 6:30. And then, you know, you're done a little after 8:30. And Stuart can head back. You know, he's coming out a distance.
I'll ask him what he wants to eat.
Well, MJ, what could the store do for us if we were to try to enlist their help with?
Well, I mean, the simplest thing would be to do, you know, sandwiches. I mean, I think we could do other things, but I'm not sure what else would work as well, both for what we tend to produce in the store and I mean, like, we could have a big thing of American chop suey or something, you know, that we could, you know, have that kind of stuff, but I think, you know, for something like this, you know, having sandwiches where someone could just be like, okay, well, I like ham, you know, seems like that is simpler for everyone involved.
Thoughts from folks about,
I agree.
seems
Yeah.
like using the store would be just a nice thing to do.
Agreed.
How many?
Our goal is to get people to tell us that they're coming and that as a result, we could tell the store what we were expecting. And so Maureen and I talked about asking people to notify us that they plan to attend by what would we say, the 14th or something?
MJ, how much lead time would they need for sandwiches? Is it
I
like
mean,
catering a wedding? Like 2
Hopefully
days in
not a week.
advance?
yeah, I mean, so long as we know that it's coming up, I don't think, we would need, a huge amount of time to know the exact amount. I think, if we knew before the weekend that if it, so the day we're doing it is a Tuesday, right?
Right.
Okay, so yeah, I think if we had a head count by the later
Like
the
this-
previous
like-
week.
Like the Friday before would be plenty of
Yeah.
time for that Tuesday, okay.
I mean,
Good.
since like bread deliveries and stuff, we get pretty frequently, so I don't, I think if we knew by the weekend, that would ensure that we had everything we needed to do that.
How are you collecting those, signups or reservations?
Another flyer.
So are you doing it through a Google form? That's a
So-
really,
We
go
were,
ahead.
We were gonna ask
Yeah.
Dee to, you know how she can make,
Yeah.
I mean, our main interest is to get historical commission, recreation, conservation, housing trust, select board,
planning,
planning, probably the finance committee, and miscellaneous others. So Dee's list, my sense is there's about 120 or 30 people on that list, which tends to include all the boards.
Hmm.
And I thought we just let her do a blanket to that group and say, we need to know by the 14th.
Yeah, and
With-
just have them
Because-
RSVP to Maureen.
Yeah, because we want to feed you.
Yeah, I just don't, I just didn't know if that was an effective way, I don't know, to do it.
How do-
If this has been done before and that works.
yeah. I
RSVP.
think it's gotta go out on the Facebook page.
Yep.
It has to be on the announcements on the town website. The good news is it's after town meeting, so it can be announced again at town meeting.
Yep.
I think it's actually a great time, but he was very specific. He wants to make sure that all you guys can be there.
Hmm.
He doesn't care about any other people but you guys. I
Yeah.
go,
Well,
that's a
I will
normal scheduled
RSVP
meeting."
right now.
Okay,
be there.
good.
May, should we say May 8th, May
Um,
21st?
But
So,
there's an easier, Maureen, there's just, that I only do that just because we do registration so frequently through rec. If
yeah,
you just make a Google form, you don't have to do it. But that way, otherwise you're gonna be just getting
She's right.
Right.
Julie's
RSVPs.
definitely right.
And yeah, and a Google form just puts it just populates all into an Excel spreadsheet for you. All the people have to do, and you can just link that right onto the CPAC website. You can still make your announcements through social media and a town meeting and all that stuff. And you just say to sign up, we just need you to go to our website, access this form, fill it out, and then all the information just populates and you literally just hit
Yeah, I mean, you could put the link in your email.
correct.
I
Right.
but
Click here to register.
Very efficient.
Yep, she's right. I agree.
And I know, like, don't be like, I don't know how to do that. That sounds awful.
yeah.
I can help because I
Yeah.
do them regularly.
Yeah, it sounds similar to, well, back like, I'll probably age myself, but when I was doing things like that for my kids' stuff, it was always like, the sign up,
Yeah.
Genus thing.
Yeah,
and then
it's
you could-
similar, very
yeah,
similar,
Similar to
yep.
that, yeah.
Yep. I mean, there'll be people that don't, that they
Right.
can't access or are afraid to access it. So they'll email you too, but
Right, yeah.
this way it's just very efficient. So I can just send you over a form. And if you want to use it,
Perfect.
use it. If you don't, then don't.
Perfect.
Perfect.
I'll add it to my QR thing.
So-
Julie.
2 seconds, piece of cake,
Yeah.
piece of cake.
So everybody's good with 1870?
Yep.
Program starts at 6:30,
21st?
21st of
Mm.
May. Rain or shine.
Snow or
I will
wind.
say one thing about those 1870 stairs. The top one, because we're there frequently, is it's dangerous.
Yeah, we just use the back entrance
Yeah,
for the
So-
wood turning club.
I don't know if, yeah, so if people are older, that could be, I don't know. I don't know, I just be aware, I guess, or just tell people to use the back, use the side entrance, but then they have to go up the hill.
Yeah. the hill would
Everyone
be
to
easier than the
proceed with
stairs.
caution.
See what's but you're gonna get a nice sandwich. You're gonna be fine.
What's the capacity? I've never been in there, guys. What's the capacity? How many people does it
Huge.
hold?
Oh,
175 now, I think.
175, okay.
That's all? Wow.
Yeah, it used to be more, but I don't think the fire code allows, it isn't 200 anymore, I don't think.
That's all it was for town meeting was 200.
It used to be.
that's all
we-
that comes to town meeting in the
Yeah,
gym.
right, Carolyn, right?
We used
Good
to
call.
pack them in like sardines for town meeting up there.
That's so cool. So what
Jim,
time?
next
is
time we
school of
meet, you're
food?
gonna have to bring me over there so I can eyeball it.
Yeah,
Oh, it's beautiful.
and we've
Yeah.
we've got it held for
I think you said
1
one.
o'clock. So
Yeah.
I've been setting up chairs for events up there, so I'll just go and set up the chairs and Stuart needs a projector. He'll bring his computer.
Very easy loading stuff in and out of there. Drive up the hill. There's the ramp, the elevator.
And I'll now that we've decided where and when, I'll get in touch with Brittany and we'll get them to tape it. It won't be a hybrid. It'll be in person taped. What else?
Are you doing food at 6?
Yeah,
Just 'cause we'll
maybe
put
a
it on the
little
Google
before,
form.
quarter of maybe.
Okay. And just food, or is there gonna be?
Alcohol? No.
No, no, I didn't mean alcohol.
Yeah, I know
No,
where
I
you were
didn't.
going.
No, I wasn't.
No, there's no
I meant
booze.
like coffee or tea or anything. Okay,
Yep.
okay,
Beverages.
Beverages will be
Beverages.
served.
non-alcoholic.
And we'll have some sort of cookie or whatever,
Yeah,
Okay,
something
oh,
simple.
that's great. That's great, okay.
Hmm.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what kind of response we get. I mean, it could be 60 people, it could be 40, it could be 80, I don't know. Who knows?
Could be
us.
eight, just us. Sitting there.
Right.
Okay,
Can the public attend?
yeah.
All right,
I mean, if the minute we start announcing it on every avenue that we can, people want to show up, they can.
Oh, I just had a thought, on the flyer that's gonna go out at town meeting, if you wanted to, put it on the bottom of that flyer, since it's gonna be before.
Yeah, we got room on that back page.
Okay, if you want to make it together?
Yeah.
Well,
might as well.
it's already
Good
being given
idea.
out, so it's just extra publicity for it.
So, which is a wonderful thing to say too, Wayne, because when do you want this information to get out?
Well,
Like, we'll have to ask Dee.
I mean, I would say that if we announced it a month in advance, So if we had it go out, you know, sometime around the 20th of April, what's
Okay.
April here?
The
Yeah,
Saturday.
so in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, 2
Yeah.
weeks, you know,
I mean, town meeting's only a couple weeks ahead of that, so.
18th or
Right.
19th of
Yeah,
April.
so that would be, right, so right before they do coffee talk and then put this on top of with the same flyer, and that flyer can also be made available for coffee talk, right?
Yep.
And then just keep moving, okay.
Good.
So about the 20th. Oh, got a lot to do. Julie, give a busy person something to do and it will get done, right?
That's right.
Yeah, that's
Right, Maureen. Yep.
No, that Julie's idea for that form will save a ton.
Oh, a ton.
ton.
Yep.
That's,
Yep.
that's gonna be
Yeah, you
huge.
don't check your emails, you just go right to the information, yeah.
I
Yep,
mean,
yeah,
and the reality is if anybody sends you sends you information separately, just go on and type it in yourself. But, you know, there's no reason to have to keep two different things.
right, right.
Well, I mean, I've done it for, you know, I do the same kind of stuff. So that's, I don't
Mhm.
do forms, but yep, definitely.
Yeah, yeah, it's just easier. Yeah, work smarter, not harder.
Yep.
With technology, it's much easier, yeah.
Anything else on this topic? Okay, good.
Good.
We'll get in touch with Stuart, and he's fun. He really is.
And
He
smart,
knows-
knowledgeable, yeah.
He knows it backwards and forwards.
Mm.
You know, if there's finance questions, he understands those. If there's, you know, is this project allowed? He knows those. You know, it's good stuff. So chair updates, appointments. Carolyn, I think you and I our term is over.
Oh, well,
Didn't we should just go through this, or was that all the way last year?
That was Julie and Eloise, and Julie's still with us.
Oh, that, yeah.
She
Oh,
was
that
looking,
term.
but she's still here.
Thank you, Julie.
yep, I get it. You're welcome.
So Carolyn, you need to go to the Conservation Commission and beg them to put you back on.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, the terms end in June, is it? I think it's June 30th.
Yeah,
Yeah,
June
yeah.
30th.
Yeah.
So you've got time. It's just that it's appropriate to start thinking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I will see if someone on the planning board wants to serve.
I vote you. That was my planning board hat.
Updates. What other, do I have other updates, Maureen?
I don't think so.
I think that was it, wasn't it? Member updates.
Nothing.
That's good.
Mhm.
This says that our next meeting is May 21st, which is the night of the event. And in between now and then, we have town meeting. At town meeting, I'm happy to make a general comment right before we introduce the 4 articles that use CPA money, but the articles will be presented by the proponents.
They all know that,
Mm.
right?
And we'll remind them of that.
Has there been any, I just have a quick question. Has there been any forward motion on the rail trail stuff? Because there was, when we were approving that, there was questioning if it would even get to town meeting floor because of other funding coming in, or?
To the best of my knowledge, the state funds have still not come through. Still fingers are still crossed. Haven't heard that we're not getting it. We just haven't gotten it yet.
Well,
So
I'm just but Maureen, you communicate, or Tim, you communicate with them, they know.
Yeah.
They're-
So we'll let them know that they're on deck for those
Are they
proposals.
going to the coffee talk thing, or who's going to that to talk about?
I will talk to Kristen and make sure that she knows she should invite those individuals.
Don't want to assume.
And
If
Coffee
that's what-
Talk is when? Somehow I missed this.
I
25th.
think it's the 25th.
Yeah, it is the 25th.
Thank you.
Time? 7.
6:30.
And Maureen and I will communicate with you in regard to anything we learn. We'll keep you updated on the program for the 21st, so you know about that. But unless there's a emergency, we won't meet for
Yeah, she is.
weeks and weeks
Take
and
her,
weeks.
take her out. She can go to her.
Maureen, you can take her out. We're almost done.
No, I'm good.
No, Maureen, it's all right.
You did number
Yeah,
one,
nice.
she didn't do number two, and I prefer not to, I like someone else to do that part.
Yeah, we know what you're doing.
Favorite human, I'm only her favorite human when others aren't around, so you know,
Oh my
it's
God,
kind
you're
of a
so funny.
thing.
Next meeting, we've done that. We've done that. Anything else? Nice job.
Wish everybody luck
Ah.
at town meeting.
Oh, thank you.
Okay,
Thank
and
you.
the only
You
thing is,
have the
so,
hard one this year, Julie, not me.
Yeah, yeah.
so
We have a
Julie,
motion
do
to
you want to try to
adjourn.
meet?
So moved.
Pardon?
Should
So
I meet
moved.
with you, Julie, on the RQ code, or how do you want to do
Yep,
that?
so sure, I'll just do it and then I'll just send it to you. I'll do the same with the
Okay.
Google form and then
Okay,
if,
perfect.
if you want to make any adjustments to it, we can do that. The QR code though, just to be clear, because it will link, right, to something. Do you want it
Yeah.
to link to the website or are we gonna link to, what do you want me to link it to? Wayne, what do you think? You deal with QR codes?
Can you upload the PDF to the website or to the particular page? If there's a page that lists all the stuff that's on the,
So basically what,
I guess I would just send them to our to our page because all the stuff is on there. So just
Yeah,
to our town page. I mean, the details there, but if somebody wants to learn more, the flyer is going to basically show them where to go to get more. So I would just say to our main page.
okay,
What I would ask Maureen too is on the sign, the signage samples that I put, I did like a short URL. So it just says Town of Berlin community, whatever I wrote, I'm not looking at it. Can we find out if we can get a short URL from the web person? It's not hard to do. It's just so that they just create an alternate URL that goes to the page. So it's just easier to put on signs, and the QR would help too, but
okay,
that doesn't have to happen for now, but that's just for the future.
but yeah. Add
Thanks.
that to the sign stuff.
Yeah.
Cool.
Anything else? Maureen, are we meeting this week?
I don't think we need to. I can send you things electronically. We probably should, like usually meeting weeks we don't, so then the next week. So like next Wednesday,
Next Wednesday?
if that's good for you.
I'll take you to the old town hall.
Okay, so that's the 10th.
Okay, April 10th.
Yeah.
What, 3:30?
Can we do 4, you think? It looks
4's
like I
fine,
have a
yep.
go back to the eye doctor on at 1:45, so,
4's good. Okay.
okay.
Anything else, anybody? Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second.
Non-debatable. Wayne,
Aye.
Julie,
aye.
MJ,
Aye.
Eleanor,
Aye.
Carolyn,
Aye.
Eloise,
Aye.
Tim is I. Hey, nice job.
Thank you,
Alright.
everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
See
Good
you at town
night.
meeting.
Aye.